I bet we are all doing okay. And so, in today's lesson, we are going to talk about Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory. So, who was Erik Erikson? He was a German American child psychoanalyst and visual artist known for his theory on psychosocial development of human beings. And in this theory, it comprises of 8 sequential lifelong stages from birth to death where individuals face specific social and emotional crises, that is the psychosocial conflicts, and successfully resolving this crisis develops key virtues such as trust, autonomy, purpose, competence, and wisdom, while failure can lead to unhealthy self-conceptions or relational struggles. So let us dive in and understand these 8 stages one by one. So let us begin. We have trust versus mistrust, and this begins from birth to 18 months. It is at this stage a child or an infant learns to trust someone based on the reliability of their caregivers, or the mother developing the virtue of hope. So infants depend on caregivers, and if the caregivers give consistent care, the child has trust. But if the child is neglected, inconsistency, the child will have mistrust. It's at this stage a baby is learning whether they can trust the world or not. Okay, so if care is neglectful or inconsistent or harsh, the child will develop mistrust. Then we have the second stage, the autonomy versus shame and doubt, 1 year to 3 years. This is the early childhood. It's at this stage the toddlers develop personal control, independence, and virtue of will. The child begins to be independent, and if the child is allowed to discover their own bodies or own self, they will form confidence. But if the child is not allowed to, or if the child tries to do something, then the child is criticized, the child forms doubt, and it's at this stage the child tries to feed or dress themselves, and if the child is encouraged, the child will form confidence. But if not, if the child is scolded, the child forms shame or doubt. Then we have initiative versus guilt at 3 to 6 years, and this is then we have the fourth stage, the industry versus inferiority, and this is at 6 years to 12 years old. At this stage, children cope with new social and academic demands, fostering a sense of competency. So the child develops skills that is as at school stage, and if the child is successful, or the whatever he or she does is recognized, the child becomes industrious, that is hardworking. But if the child gets negativity or it's criticized or criticism, the child lose motivation and feels inferior. Then we have identity versus role confusion at 12 years to 18 years. This is the adolescent stage. So at this stage, teenagers explore identity, and once they are supported, they will have a strong identity. But when they lack guidance, they will form what we call confusion. It's at this stage when a child is allowed to go out to explore, they will form their own identity. But when parents want the child to follow their own rules and their own things, the child will form confusion. So this is the stage of identity versus role confusion. Then we have intimacy versus isolation, and this is for the young adult, and that is early adulthood, right? So at this stage, young adults, they let go of past relationships, and it's at this stage where they seek intimate relationships, fostering the virtue of love that will become marriage, or that will lead to very intimate relationships in the future. And if at this stage, when they begin to know, they realize that they can form relationships, they can build love, and it becomes successful, they have confidence and they tend to build strong relationships. But if not, if there is failure in this relationship, they will have the form of isolation, and they will have a form of isolation, tending to isolate themselves from the world. Then we have generativity versus stagnation. That is in the middle adulthood. And it's at this stage when somebody focuses on contributing to the society. You already have a family, and when everything that you've done becomes generative, successful, there becomes the productivity. But if there is failure, you are stagnant. Somebody becomes experiences stagnation. Adults create or nature things that outlast them, developing the virtue of care. That is, if it is there is the success. And they end up mentoring others, raising families, generativity. But if there is unproductivity, or they feel unproductive, they tend to form what we call the stagnation. Then we have the last one, that is integrity versus despair, and that is at late adulthood. Older adults reflect on life, aiming to achieve the virtue of wisdom, reflection on their own life. And if they are satisfied with their own life of what they have done, they have integrity. But if they regret, or they feel they don't feel good about their past lives, this is all they have not done well, they will have despair, they will be grumpy, and they will be bitter. But if they feel proud of their life, there is integrity. So these are the 8 stages that Erik Erickson suggested, and I hope you have grasped something from this. Like, please, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.